Welcome, fellow cryptids. I am the cryptid known as Shay, and today I would like to jump into a series I am tentatively calling the Creature Collection, a series in which I deep dive into some lesser known supernatural and otherworldly entities, creatures, cryptids, and beings of all sorts of different world theologies, mythologies, and urban legends. We're starting off this series somewhat close to home with a monster I first heard stories about from my own childhood. Today, we travel to Lake Okanagan in British Columbia, Canada.
On the surface, Lake Okanagan presents a scene of calm beauty, but this view can change in a moment. Winds rise seemingly from nowhere, whipping the lake into a fury. Can it be that below this changeable surface dwells a creature rivaling the famous Loch Ness Monster?
Lake Okanagan is an 84-mile-long lake that curves down the Okanagan Valley past the city of Kelowna in the shape of a serpent, compared to Loch Ness, which extends about 23 miles. Sightings for the Ogopogo go back centuries, long before settlers even arrived to the land. However, it wasn't until 1924 that a local journalist by the name of Ronald Kevin actually coined the name Ogopogo, taken from a popular music hall song, the Ogopogo, the Funny Foxtrot, which features a banjo-playing monster in its lyrics.
I'm looking for the Ogopogo, the funny little Ogopogo. His mother was a polypop, his father was a whale. I'm going to put a little bit of salt on his gale. I want to find the Ogopogo.
One sighting described the monster as having a long, sinuous body, 30 feet in length, consisting about 5 undulations, apparently separated from each other by about a 2-foot space, in which part of the undulations would have been underwater. There appeared to be a forked tail of which only half came above the water. Another sighting described it as having a dark gray body, smooth and hairless, with stripes running down the back and a forked tail like that of a whale. 2 years later, on December 16, 1926, a mass sighting took place. 30 cars full of people all reporting the same thing: a giant snake-like beast near Okanagan Mission Beach. Soon the sighting captured the attention of newspapers all across North America, including big game hunters from Oregon and California, hoping to hunt the beast. Since then, the creature has become something of a tourist attraction. The Ogopogo mania peaked in the 1980s when the local tourism association offered a $1 million reward for proof of the creature's existence. In response, and with the urging of locals, there was a push to make the creature's reputation more positive. Eventually, under the Fisheries Act, the government made it illegal to kill the Ogopogo, naming it an endangered species at the urging of Greenpeace. Around town, Ogopogo is depicted on the waterfront through a cartoonish 15-foot-long green and cream-colored statue. The creature is also the smiling mascot for the local WHL hockey team, and you can buy plush toys of the creature at souvenir shops. It has been featured in famous shows over the years, such as In Search of and even Unsolved Mysteries, although it never quite gained the same notoriety as its Scottish cousin. But what is the Ogopogo? There are more than a few theories. Skeptics believe it's more likely to be a large fish or multiple animals grouped together, or even large waves being mistaken for a larger animal. Others believe the Ogopogo is a remnant of a much older era and is in fact a paleosaur that has somehow survived after being thought to be extinct for millions of years. A cryptologist even teamed up with biologists from the University of Chicago to put forward the theory that the Ogopogo is actually a Basilosaurus, a sort of primitive whale that has supposedly gone extinct. This would certainly match up with many of the whale-like movements and behaviors eyewitnesses have reported. Experts have claimed that the lake is indeed large enough for a colony to survive and even thrive. Long before any settler had first laid eyes on the creature, the local indigenous peoples of the land told tales about a fierce creature with razor-sharp teeth emerging from the depths of the lake. A creature known as Nihaitik by the Secwepik and Sayaks natives, meaning water demon, water god, or, as we'll talk a little bit later, sacred creature of the water. According to Canadina, Monster and Mythical Creatures, a book by Andrew Hine, which I recommend if you want to deep dive into more obscure Canadian cryptids, the story of the Ogopogo, or Naitaka, really started when a village wise man was murdered by someone possessed by an evil spirit. In their grief and rage, the man's village asked the gods to avenge their elder, and the gods turned the murderer into a serpent and imprisoned him in the lake. Nahuatl terrorized the people that dared to venture near the water without some sort of tribute, and it was said that the spirit had the power to summon powerful storms. Many were pulled down and drowned in the depths of the lake due to the creature's actions, including, famously, the horses of a settler known as John McDougall. And yet, there's still a different story to be told. Pat Raphael of the West Bank First Nation, a member nation of the larger Okanagan and Sayaks Nation Alliance, maintains that this too is a false interpretation of the creature resulting from a miscommunication from the indigenous peoples and the settlers, and that the Nihayuk is not a demon, but instead a sacred spirit embodied in the lake itself, protecting the land and providing the people with food and water. As thanks, the Sayaks Nation brought tobacco and sage, and occasionally kokanee salmon into the water. This, they say, is likely where the misunderstanding comes from, the thinking that an animal sacrifice was needed to appease the monster, coupled with a settler tendency to demonize the indigenous spiritual beliefs. In their stories, Nahuatl is actually very dark in color, and it's got the head of a horse and the antlers of a deer. Today, the commodity and appropriation of the Ogopogo is a contentious subject in the area. However, the true history of the creature is kept alive in the culture of the town and the traditions of the people who remain to give thanks to the spirit of the lake to this day.